Hey guys, this is a demo of the Gibson GA-100. This is a tube amp. It's about 35 watts at 6L6. Gibson only made 400 of these, so it's really rare. It's like a piggyback amp, like the ones that Fender did, except this is a 112 combo version of a piggyback amp. This would have been coming off this assembly line at the same time as the Les Pauls and SGs that command ridiculous amounts of money. But this amp is in the 1,000 to 2,000 range, and usually in the lower end of that. To be completely honest, the Gibson GA-20s and GA-40s sell for more than these. I don't know why. This was the top of the line amp that Gibson had. It has compression, bass, treble, and volume, 2 inputs. This would have originally been a bass amp, but it was only about 35 to 50 watts clean power. So the speakers I've heard were good for like 20 or 30 watts, so they blew almost instantly, and very few of them to this day have the original speaker. This is one of the ones which does not have the original speaker. It has a speaker labeled Guam, which I'm assuming would have been like a slide guitar brand speaker, kind of, Hawaiian slide, stuff like that. This amp is in, well, relatively clean condition. It's better than some examples I've seen, and it's worse than some other examples I've seen, and I think this one is priced accordingly. But we're just going to go through the tones of this amp, and I'm going to show you clean to cranked, and I'm going to play until I get kicked out. So right here, we're going to turn the compression off. We have the volume very low, and we'll start with the neck pickup. Aren't getting too much volume there. Turn the bass up a little bit, turn the volume up a little bit too. And so, I don't know if most of you have probably heard this, but for instance, Marshalls were designed to be run with the bass and treble controls all the way up. And I think this is one of those amps, because when you do that, it gets so much fuller and so much clearer, but it also gets a lot louder too. And you can feel the bass presence on that one, even with the guitar. But I like to leave the treble at 7 to 10. That gives it a nice jangle. Okay, got my fingers jumbled together on that one. But, and then here's the bridge pickup. I forgot to mention I'm playing a Gibson Les Paul Future Tribute right now. It has Steinberger tuners and it looks very futuristic-y, but it has 57 classic PAFs in here. So this would have been around what was coming off of the Gibson line in terms of pickups at the time. So if you were to play this with guitar, this is what it would have sounded like at the time, really. With bass, it would have sounded a little bit different with the Mudbucker. I'll probably do a demo once I install a Mudbucker in my bass, but I'll show you guys what those would have sounded like originally from the factory. This one has all the original tubes, all of them. It's absolutely fantastic. RCA black plates, everything is RCA or Gibson branded with the exception of one Sylvanian. But I'm pretty sure all the tubes are original, and I think this is how it would have sounded in terms of tubes when it left the factory. They're all very good. And I'll get into some of the details of those later on. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go show you the compression circuit. It is tube driven. Basically, it has two 6MV6s or something like that, and those are essentially like diodes before diodes existed. They push the current along, and this compresses the sound, and I will show you how it sounds. richness and clarity that it has when it's really pushed. So I prefer to leave the compression on if you're going for just clean sounds, because you can get really jangly stuff. Turn the compression on, it limits that top end sparkle. So I prefer to have the compression off when you're running for clean. But we're going to creep up on the volume knob a little bit. We're going to get to kind of edge breakup territory, which occurs on this amp at like 4 to 6. Into it, it goes wild, and I'll probably run a demo on that too because it is insane. But turn it up to 5. Very loud there too, and we're going to turn on the compression right about now. And that is kind of muting the top end that this amp has in spades. So we want the top end to kind of be muted here because it gets very loud. Then we're going to turn it up to about 6 right here. And this is when it really starts coming into its own. Turn it off for a little bit. And it is really starting to get breaking up now. We're at 6, 7 on the volume knob right now. Okay, and I'm going to dime out the bass. And it is really pushing out the bass. I'm not going to dime the treble because that will bite my head off. We're at 7 right now, and it is. Lovely rhythm breakup tone. And this volume is good for like clubs and gigs. It's not at head level, so I'm not getting any full brunt of it, but it is massive at this volume, even like where we're at right now. I'm gonna dial back to the neck pickup real quick. Serving to clean it up a little bit and muting the top end while still giving it a massive crunch, and it sounds fantastic right now. We're at about 8. So I'm going to dime it all the way out and turn the compression off. It's a massive tone right here. And then we'll turn the compression back on. I'll show you what it does. Again, it's a massive sound, but that compressor right there is so instrumental in cleaning up the tone. So it's just ridiculous. You heard that crunch, and then when I turned on the compressor, it dialed it back. And so with the compressor, you can get like really loud volumes while still maintaining a semblance of clarity. That's why when you turn it up, it sounds so much better. And then when you run a distortion or boost into that, it's just beautiful. So what's great with this amp is that you can make it either based on the compression level, a super awesome crunch machine at gigging levels, or a semi-clean pedal platform that you can run at gig volumes and push and boost into, and it'll start breaking up. But what I would like to say on this amp is that the compression feels weird. So I'm going to explain this in terms of tubes versus diodes. Diodes will compress the sound, and it's more of an even one. It's more of an even sound. It will, it refreshes faster. And if you've ever run from like a 60 hertz to 120 hertz screen, you know what I'm talking about. The rate at which these kind of compress is pretty limited, and it's not fully even. So when you're picking hard, it's a weird compression sag. And you kind of have to get used to it. It's not like what you get from a compressor pedal. It's something all of its own. And it is really cool, but again, you have to get used to it. It's kind of weird. Again, you have to get a feel for it, but once you do, you will probably like it. It's not for everyone, and people I've talked to have given me mixed feelings on this. Again, what this also has to do with is the voltage drop tube, voltage regulator. It's supposed to drop 75 volts from the preamp. Basically, usually Fender amps do this with resistors, which are a lot faster than these tubes. And what can sometimes happen is when you turn the amp like all the way up and have the compression on, the preamp will pull a ridiculous amount of voltage trying to compress it, because the voltage regulator tubes pull a lot of current. I mean, the diode tubes pull a lot of current. So when you're running the compressor, when you turn it all the way up, the voltage regulator will sometimes stutter, and you get a occasional volume drop. And I've been told this is normal with these amps, which, again, back then people weren't expecting you to run these dirty. So that's kind of a side effect of the compression thing. It's supposed to be used for bass, where you pluck a note and you want it to stay the same volume, so the voltage sag doesn't matter. You aren't going to be playing very fast in their idea, because you're on bass, and all you do on bass is from their idea, and it's not fast, and so the compression works wonders on that style of playing. But when you're talking about guitar, when you turn it up, it's like, and the transients are a lot more pronounced when you're running the compressor on as well. So the transients are more compressed. You can get a weird pinch harmonic thing going on that's not really a pinch harmonic. But overall, when we're talking about this amp, it was definitely a product of its time. Not every feature on it really should be used today. But oh my goodness, turn the compressor off, dime the volume, and it is glorious. It's just... Turn it up further. I'm going to turn it up all the way now. Turn the treble all the way up too. Huge sound. I'm only going to play for a little bit, so you're going to have to. Deafening sound, huge tone. I can't even begin to describe how good that tone is. And you really have to be in the room to hear it. It is beautiful. Rhett Shull loves these amps. So many country blues players love these old Gibson amps, and there is a reason why. The tone you get from these is like nothing else. It, in my opinion, is better than a tweed fender. Tweed fenders have the clarity, this has the grit. This is like the Marshall compared to the Vox. The Fenders have more of like a ripping sound. This is just like a wall of force that demolishes everything in its path. It's glorious, it's loud, and it's it's just ecstasy playing this. It's so much fun. And I would highly recommend that y'all check this out, because there's only 400 of these ever made, and this is one of them. And I love it. Thank you guys for watching, for possibly sticking through this whole video, and I hope you enjoyed this demo. Maybe soon to come, or some more with some pedals in front of it, and maybe one with bass. So I will see you later.